Welcome to The Beginning is Wisdom with your host, Peter Cardilla.
Oops. let's try that again.
Welcome to The Beginning is Wisdom with your host, Peter Cardilla.
All right. Welcome to my podcast. This is the first episode of The Beginning is Wisdom, and I am Peter Cardilla. I am your host, and I suppose the first thing I should do is explain why I am doing this at all. The answer is because I wrote a book last year, and now I want to tell people about the book. So the book is called The Beginning is Wisdom, hence the name of the podcast, and it is subtitled Re-Symbolizing the Cornerstone of Freemasonry. So it's about symbolism and it's about Freemasonry, but it's about a lot more than that, and I'll get into that over time. But if you're interested, you can pick it up at my website, which you can see here, beginningiswisdom.com. So, without any further ado, let's get on with the show. When I wrote this book, I was looking for a podcast to go on to sell the book, talk about the book, let people know about the book. And as I started looking around at podcasts that had to do with Freemasonry or anything that might be relevant to my book, I found all of the podcasts were, first of all good guys, all really talented, driven guys talking about something that means a lot to them and means a lot to me, why I wrote this book in the first place. And most of them are great. Most of the Masonic podcasts that I've come across are great. However, for what I was looking for, they were sort of inward facing. And what I mean by that is they were clearly meant for an audience of Freemasons and only Freemasons. And so I do want to reach Freemasons. I hope that Freemasons will listen to this and read my book, and I'll talk more about how that goal is connected to what I'm about to say. But what I really want, in addition to that, is people looking in from the outside to see something that leaves a positive impression with them, or makes a positive impression on them, I should say. So that's one of the first points that I actually make in the book while I'm trying to describe the current state of Freemasonry in today's society. I mentioned that plenty of people have heard of Freemasonry, however, they don't have what you would call a positive opinion about it. So that is one of the things that I hope to do with this, is not only engage in interesting topics, but do so with a positive eye towards Masonry. So the podcast isn't about Freemasonry per se, in the sense that I'm not going to talk directly about Freemasonry all the time, but it is about Freemasonry in the way that I want to present the group in a positive way and make a case for a lot of its ideas. So what I hope to do is do that a little bit Karate Kid style. If you remember the movie, Daniel-san tells Mr. Miyagi, I need to learn karate. Mr. Miyagi says, that's good, I'll teach you. And then he has him waxing cars and painting the fence. And then the next thing he knows, he's learning karate. So that's the way it's going to be here. You're going to think that you're painting the fence, but really, the next thing you know, you're winning the all-city tournament. And you're the best around. So that is kind of what it's about, if I've even said anything. But it's going to be fun. We're going to learn things. We're not going to be mean to people, and we're going to have a good time. I'm going to keep my dirty language under control, and we are going to start here this week, as every week, with a thought of the week. Generally speaking, I can take credit for one good thought per week. Some people might consider that to be an exaggeration or a bit of an overstatement, but I think on average, I'm good for one good thought per week. So this is the thing to remember. Everyone is a role model, whether they like it or not. So that's the thought for the week. Keep that in mind as you go through the week. Everybody's a role model, whether they like it or not. Someone else decides whether you're a role model. You don't get to choose when somebody sees you in a situation and they're using you as a model for how they should act. You don't get to decide that. Somebody else decides you're a role model. What you do get to decide is whether or not you're a good one. So you can't help it if somebody is going to use you as an example, but what you can control is whether or not you give them a good example to follow. So that is the thought for the week. Keep that in mind. Everyone is a role model, whether they like it or not. All right. So this is a weekly show. I'm going to talk about things that are topical and go on throughout the week. So right now what's going on is the Olympics. Watching a lot of Olympics. It's pretty exciting. Well, you know what? I should say I've been watching a lot of Olympic hockey. That is something that I have been doing. So let's look at some Olympic hockey. So here we are. We're going to do our first bit. It's going to be sports. So let's check that out. Let's look at that again, okay? Because let's look at that again. So obviously I've used AI to help me build this show because I can't afford a proper designer to do all this stuff. So I've had to use AI. And look, AI is not good. AI is not good. So let's look at this. Oh man, that is terrible. That is, that is really terrible, right? Oh gosh. Yeah, so very good. So that's our intro to the sports bit. So I've been watching a lot of Olympic hockey, and I've got a buddy in Canada who has agreed to be our hockey correspondent. So we talked to him a little bit earlier today. So let's go to Brian with Olympic hockey. So how you been, man?
Yeah, things are good. Yeah, we got a full winter.
Are you a race car fan, Brian?
Big time. Yeah. I'm old
You
enough that I went to the US Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, the last one. That's 1979 or
do
78.
you follow NASCAR?
A little bit. I mean, I kind
Yeah.
of find it entertaining, but I kind of old Formula One and changing gears and turning right and left.
The Daytona 500 happened yesterday. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, you've been watching the Olympics, obviously, right?
Oh man, it's been great. It's been great.
Yeah,
The hockey's been great. That's the one thing I've been definitely catching up on is the
yeah.
hockey. Some of the other events I've caught here and there, but the hockey I've made it a point.
Yeah, I think it's been better than we kind of expected, right? But
It's been better than I expected. The first game with Canada against Czechia,
Czechia, yeah, and I think they might play them again Wednesday, so we'll see.
man, that game was flying. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is really fast.
In the men's, there's 5 or 6 teams that could win it. All the countries are good now. Like the Czechs are good, the Swedes, the Finns.
I was thinking the same thing. There's really only two teams in there that are just in there to get spanked. You're looking
Yeah.
at France
And
and Italy.
the NHL guys haven't been there since, was it Sochi or?
Yeah, that's the last
Yeah.
time the NHL guys were there in Sochi.
Yeah,
So it's been a long time, and I'll tell you, the difference is huge. These guys are amazing. Team Canada
yeah,
is stacked.
yeah, and there's a lot of pressure on them, but I think it's theirs to lose right now. But who knows, right? When it gets down
Yeah.
to it, and it's a one game thing even going forward, right? So the US is awesome, but I don't think those forwards line up with the Canadian forwards, but
So that's
we'll
the
see.
thing, right? It's going to be the U.S. defense is a little better, perhaps. The
Yeah,
goaltending, maybe we have an advantage, but nobody lines up with those Canadian forwards. I mean, if you
yeah,
look at
yeah.
that lineup, it's crazy with
Yep.
Crosby and McDavid, Celebrini. Everybody up here is excited about Celebrini, everybody in the Bay
The kid,
Area.
the kid is so mature. The kid's the real deal.
He's the real deal. It's amazing. He has more than one time for the Sharks this year, just like
Yeah.
taken over the game and
Yeah.
put it on his back at such a young age. It's crazy to see. All the Sharks fans are super excited about that. That's great.
Why? It's about time too, right? So they've had such loyal fans and they've had such good teams for so long. All three California teams are doing okay. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Kings, tough break for them with
yeah, Fiala. Did you?
Fiala.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But did you see what he did to Marner?
yeah,
Oh,
I
like
did.
these guys all know each other too, right?
How about the that shot the French guy put in on McKinnon last night? That looked like
He,
an elbow right to the face to me.
yeah, and he kind of had turned backwards and was in a vulnerable spot. But the hockey's been great.
Yeah, the hockey's been fantastic. I've
Yeah.
been excited about it. You watching anything else in the Olympics?
Yeah, I like the skiing. I like the downhill. That was pretty good. And I like the alpine skiing. And I'm back here in Canada now, so curling is like huge, but I don't quite get it. It's just shuffleboard on ice. But
I try to follow the rules and understand
I
it, but I don't
I
really
just
get it
I just
either.
liked when the Canadian guy dropped the F-bomb at the Swedish guy. So that they were gonna, did you see some of that? It was like, "Hey, it's more like it. They were gonna have a fight. It was like apparently double
That's
tap.
great.
Yeah.
Oh
But
man, that's
so I
good
think
stuff, dude.
I like the Winter Olympics. The Summer Olympics are good too, but the winter to me, I like all the winter sports. I saw Lindsey Vonn crash live at 5:30 in the morning or whatever it
Oh
was,
no.
which was, yeah, that was too bad. I watched Sweden and Slovakia. Did you see that where it came to goal differential?
No.
And I think Sweden was going to be ahead of Finland. And then they pulled the goalie. They scored with 34 seconds left and they're all
Oh.
cheering even though they lost the game. It was because they lost by 2 goals instead of three.
Yeah, well, the medal round is going to be good. I think that
Yeah,
Team USA might be the only team that can slow down Team Canada at all.
it,
We'll see.
I think everybody in North America wants them to play, right? So
Yeah, I mean, look, without the Russians in there and with Sweden sort of not making a strong stand, it seems like it's between the US and Canada. I mean, you can't get
yeah.
too cocky. It's a one game tournament,
Oh
like you
yeah.
said.
Was it Denmark versus US, the battle for Greenland? Did you see?
That's what I said.
That was pretty funny.
That's
And
funny.
then
I hadn't
they
seen
got,
that, but I said that to my wife. I was like, the
yeah,
winner
yeah.
gets Greenland.
There were some Greenland flags in the
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
that's
crowd.
funny. That's
Well, and they've got,
funny.
Denmark has some pretty good hockey players too, right? So it's like,
Every one of these teams has at least a handful of NHL
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
you know.
I think it was Italy played Canada the first game, and they were pretty tough. But then they
They
got blown away
played
the rest.
tough.
It was those Italian Canadians, I think, or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Every one of those Italian guys grew up in Toronto and Boston.
The hockey's been good, but you're keeping good, Pete. And
Yeah, yeah. Living the dream down here in California.
no, that's a magical place.
It is. I
You
get
can
that.
fill me in later on what this is all about, Pete, but because ping me anytime. I mean, I'm floating around. If it's not nap time, I'm trying to exercise or something. But
Right on. It's great to see you again, bro.
yeah, always good.
That was fun. It's always great to see Brian, talk to him, miss that guy, and but we'll have him on again to follow up next week the medal round of Olympic hockey. So also in sports, the NBA just had their All-Star game. They tried a new format this year. It was experimental. What they're responding to is a lack of interest among the fans because the players are not fully engaged, so it's not a competitive game, and so viewership has gone down. And much like the NFL Pro Bowl, the NBA is struggling to keep this product interesting and viable. So it seems to me that they tried to take a page from the very successful adjustment that the NHL made last year when they introduced an all-star tournament that they called the Four Nations tournament, and they divided the players up by national origin, and the players competed, and it was very entertaining because it was very competitive, and the national pride of the players was on full display, and so that made them compete harder than they would have in an all-star game otherwise. And so I think the NBA was trying to reproduce some of what the NHL did with the format that they introduced this year, where they had an American team versus an international team, but the distribution of international players in the NBA is not exactly how it is in the NHL. So they couldn't, like the NHL did, produce four full teams of all-star players from four different countries. So they had two-thirds of the all-stars were Americans and a third of them were international players. And so they had an international team, which to me doesn't necessarily evoke the same national pride that, playing for Team Canada or Team USA does. So, it's not exactly the same. And then on the American side, it was, from what I understand, divided by age. So you had young upcoming stars, and then you had like established veteran all stars on the other roster. And then they had a round robin tournament of sorts where each team played the other for one quarter of the game. It wasn't exactly clear to me how it went on, and I occupied myself watching the Olympic hockey, so I didn't actually see it. But we do have an NBA correspondent who checked in on it a little bit, and so we're gonna check in with Drew. Drew, it's good to see you, man.
Absolutely.
I know we just hung out the other day, so it hasn't been that long, but it's nice. It's always nice to see you, no matter how long it's been.
Oh yeah, man. I had a good time too.
So I wanted to talk to you about the All-Star game yesterday. Did you catch any of it?
You know what? I did have a chance to watch it, and you know what? This is one of the most strangest years I've ever seen it set up like this because typically it'll be the East versus the West, and yeah, they do
Yeah.
four quarter they do four quarters, but this time it was like multiple teams, but they had the same uniforms on, and then they'll be playing win or lose, win or lose, and then they'll play the next one. I'm like, I never seen this before, and it'd be like 12 minutes.
So they just played like a quarter. Each little game was a quarter. They played like a round robin tournament, and
Like
each.
something like that. And then they got into the finals. And I'm looking at it and I'm scratching my head because I'd never seen this process before. It was like, it was it was different. But
So
it was
what I
cool.
was reading was that the viewership has been down. People haven't been watching it because the guys don't play hard in the
Yeah.
All-Star game. The guys don't compete. They're just out there kind of going through the motions.
Yes.
And so the NBA was trying to follow a little bit what the NHL did last year, where they took
Uh,
their All-Star game and they divided all the players into the countries that they came from. So it
right.
was like USA versus Canada versus Sweden. And so it had a little national pride on the line. So the guys played a little harder. So I think the NBA was trying to do that with the USA versus the world kind of thing. But I don't know that it came off exactly the same way.
You ever heard of this guy named Dr. J?
Of course.
Dr. J was there. And so when they had I guess when they chose the championship of the dunk contest, Dr. J actually handed out the plaque.
Well, that's
And
appropriate since he
yeah,
won the first slam dunk contest, right?
yes,
Like, I remember when I was a kid. See, I grew up near Philadelphia, so ask if I knew Dr. J. I knew Julius Erving,
that's right.
and he was a huge star. I think he won the first slam dunk contest, and that came from the ABA, right?
Yeah,
And then when the NBA absorbed part of the ABA, that kind of came over with it.
right.
The ABA was a little bit more of a fun league. They tried to do some
But
innovative things, right?
and I'm gonna tell you, his hands are huge. I seen a thing where they had a book. They opened up the book. His hand was like, here's page one, page two. His hand was like the palm was here, and his fingers was over here. Huge hands, huge. Man, Doc's hands is about this big, man. It's huge. His fingers. So when he grabbed the ball, he's really like grabbing like
Yeah, like a baseball.
yes, boom. That's why he could just go under the rim and just and
Yeah,
tip
he
it
was
up.
sweet.
And yes, it turned out to be interesting. The blue team ended up losing, and it looked like the red team they actually put this work in. So, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I think from what I understand, the way they divided up the American teams was young and old dudes. Like they
Yeah,
had like veterans and then like upcoming stars.
yeah,
So that was kind of the thing they were trying to do. You think they're going to
yeah.
do it again like this next year?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would have to put that big old thing called a question mark up because
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Who
who
knows?
knows? It was interesting. I've never seen it done like this before.
Yeah, I
You know,
think this is the first year that they did it this way,
yeah.
because they're trying to drum up some interest. How did the Europeans look? The Europeans are good these days, huh? They're not. It's not like it used to be where they just got rolled by Americans.
The teams wasn't broken down by Europeans. It was broken down.
It wasn't just Europeans. It was basically any international guy.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They had this guy who's like 7'6". You know who I'm talking about. This real tall dude. He's a young man. He's about in his early 20s. Man, he was out there banging some threes. He also brought the ball in and hit a couple of dunks. I was like,
Nice.
okay, yeah. So it was interesting, man. I kind of enjoyed it, yeah. But it's good. Hey, Petey, I want to say it's good to be on this call and to talk with you and stuff. And man, I love it. And with our history and our background, man, much love to you. You
Well,
know,
thank you, dude. I appreciate you doing this. This is just the first episode. We'll do this a lot more. I'll just
right.
keep in touch with you, hit you up, and we can talk about whatever.
I'm happy and I'm pleased to be your brother and stuff. And if you need anything from your brother, if you need anything from me, please reach out to me. Let me know.
Brother,
I got you. I got you.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Fantastic, dude. Thank you for being a part of this. And
absolutely.
I'll talk to you soon, man.
We'll catch up a little bit later. And then I look forward to being on the very next meeting too. So the next one, call me in. So I want to be down. All right.
You got it, bro.
Take care. Stay
Ciao.
blessed. All right. Ciao.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. Thank you, Drew. We'll talk to you again soon. Not exactly sure that we know much more about the NBA All-Star game than we did before, but it was nice to talk to Drew no matter what. Excellent. Okay, before we go on with anything, I just want to offer all of you a discount on the book. Again, you can get that here at beginningiswisdom.com. Can you read that? Beginningiswisdom.com. And if you use the code podcast, you will get 25% off on that book. So go ahead and buy it. You'll like it. Very good. So I just wanted to share that offer with you before I go on to this next thing. It is President's Day. And as anybody who knows me knows, I am a big fan of George Washington. So I found this story. It was first published in the New York Times. I found it here republished in the Seattle Times about George Washington and this drink that he used to enjoy called Cherry Bounce. Apparently, Cherry Bounce is a pretty strong alcoholic drink made from cherries, and it was one of George Washington's favorite drinks. He frequently had it made. His wife, Martha, had a famous recipe for it, and I remember seeing a story last year that while they were excavating the basement, I think, at Mount Vernon, they found some jars of this stuff, and it was still good. So it was jarred, 200 and something years ago, and apparently it was jarred with such skill that when they opened it up, yeah, here we go. 12 bottles were found buried in the basement in the spring of 2024. They were still good. So we are going to share the recipe here for anybody who wants to make it. And then in commemoration of this, because Washington's birthday isn't actually till the 22nd, so we've got a few days to celebrate. I'm going to make some Cherry Bounce and give it a try, see how that goes. All right, now on to the news. So, as we do the news here on this show, one thing I should probably make pretty clear, I don't, talk about politics. And the reason that I don't want to talk about politics or in any specific way endorse religion on this show is because those are two areas where people really aren't dealing with their own opinions. That's a place where people have adopted the opinions of a group, and you're not likely to learn anything or have any meaningful conversations. So, look, there's plenty of places where you can have your so-called political discussion. So I'm not depriving you of any great opportunity. So with that, I am going to do. Oh man, AI is not doing a good job. Look at this. All right, so north, east. We got a few easts not in the right place. Oh man, that compass rose is pretty poor. Oh well. If you're worried about AI, AI still got a long way to go. Oh man, that was pretty terrible. All right. So, in the news, so one of the things that I talked about at the beginning of this episode, and I mentioned right in the beginning of my book, is how Masonry doesn't necessarily suffer from a lack of people knowing about it. It's what people do know about it isn't necessarily positive. So there's a lot of negative ideas out there. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. So as I was looking for anything interesting here, I found this article. Well, not exactly new. It came out in November of last year, so it's a couple months old. It's from the Seventh-day Adventist publication, and the title of the article is "Can Adventists Be Freemasons?" The article's pretty well written in terms of being fair, but it mentions quite frequently that there are a lot of objections to Freemasonry, particularly among religious people, not just Adventists. Catholics have famously been against Freemasons. A number of evangelical groups have made it a public cause of theirs to confront Freemasonry, and of course, all of the fundamentalist Islamic groups around the world have always been opponents of Freemasonry. At least this author here of this article gives some reason as to what the objection is, and he says it's Freemasonry's secrecy that has most bothered Christians. Interestingly, I made a video and released it on TikTok a month or so ago, and I don't do that very often, or I haven't done it very often, and this particular video got a lot more attention than any other thing that I did, and it was on the idea of the secrecy in Freemasonry. And so it's one of the things that's largely misunderstood. So here, let me actually find this video that I made and bring it up. Okay, here it is. Yeah, Freemasonry has secrets. They're just probably not the secrets you think they are. Freemasonry is not a secret society. People know we're out there. What it is a symbolic system. The secrecy of Freemasonry, while it is something that's practiced, that is, Freemasons do and are expected to keep something secret, the secrecy itself is also part of the presentation. So while some of the symbols are secret, the secrecy itself is also symbolic. The universe is mysterious. The world is still a place of wonder. And Freemasonry has secrets in one sense because the world we're symbolizing has secrets. Okay, so that video got a lot of response. Not all of it was positive. It got a lot more positive response than negative, but there are still people out there who are critical of Freemasonry. There's a lot of conspiracy theorists that are still targeting Freemasonry, and like I said before, there are religious critics. But really the truth, at least in my opinion, is that conspiracy theorists and religious zealots have lost a great deal of clout in society. People are entertained by them, but they don't find them to be particularly reliable, and that's a good thing, because what they're trying to present is not true. But what is a real concern for Freemasonry is this idea that I think Freemasons don't have a great answer for right now. The headline here is "From Secret Handshakes to Facebook Ads, Britain's Freemasons Confront a Crisis of Relevance." So this particular article talks about how in a modern day where the material secrets of Freemasonry are easy to access, and the sort of symbolic value of secrecy is something that Freemasons have become less and less adept at explaining, the mystique that used to be attached to the secrecy of Freemasonry is diminished, and it's no longer an allure, and no longer draws people to the group. And so this article is saying that while on one hand people objected to the secrecy of Freemasons, on another hand it was also something that did lend a bit of mystique, a bit of intrigue to the group, and made outsiders wonder what it is. So Masonry is sort of looking to move into the new world and maintain its relevance. So that is a struggle that is actually the primary one for the group, in my opinion. And it's one of the reasons that I wrote the book and that I'm doing this podcast, is because I want people to not only know about it, but to have a positive view of Freemasonry and Freemasons. and to be able to address any misconceptions about the group. The video that I made talking about the secrets of Freemasonry, of course, it brought out a couple of wackos, but aside from that, there was some genuine confusion about what I meant when I said the secrecy itself is symbolic. And it's one of the things that I explain in my book, and I might need to talk a little bit more about symbols and symbolism in general, but I'll do that next week. But Masonic secrets are almost entirely, if not entirely, symbolic. That isn't to say that the secrets are meaningless. Something can't be a symbol without meaning. That's one of the defining characteristics of a symbol. It means something. However, as I said in the video, they just don't mean what they seem to mean. The plain meaning is perhaps not the real reason for it. So first of all, the actual substance of Masonic secrets is not really anything that's very important, so to speak. If you were to hear it, you might be underwhelmed. And neither is it anything that hasn't already been exposed on the internet somewhere. So the material secrets of Freemasonry are widely available and pretty well known outside of a group of Freemasons. And so the secrecy of Freemasonry isn't about keeping the information from the outside world. The information's already out there. The secret is a symbol. Keeping a secret, for example, is a symbol of trustworthiness. Though the secret might be insignificant, keeping even an insignificant or silly secret is still a symbol of integrity. So Masons keep secrets to symbolize their trustworthiness to each other and to the outside world. No matter how much you might want to know a secret, you still have a lot more respect for someone who won't tell you than someone who shouldn't tell you but does. So that's just one example of how the secret is symbolic. Secrets and keeping secrets is a symbol of trustworthiness. And like I said, I give other examples in the book, but I think that it's important that when reasonable people have questions, that Freemasonry has reasonable answers. Not everybody that has this question is wearing a tinfoil hat, so to speak. A very reasonable person might wonder the same thing, and if we don't have a good reason, then we either seem, in the worst case, dishonest, or in the most innocent assumption, we seem silly or naive or in some other way inconsequential. And so I don't agree with dismissing secrecy altogether, saying there are no secrets in Masonry. That's become a bit of a common thing to hear from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. You'll hear people say there are no secrets in Freemasonry, and what they're referring to is the fact that all of the secrets have already been exposed in terms of the content of the ritual. But I don't agree with saying that there are no secrets in Masonry. I think it's better to be able to give an explanation that makes it meaningful. And yeah, so that is my take on the secrets of Masonry and secrecy as a symbol. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can check out my book. I talk about that. And here again, you can get it at the beginning is wisdom. If you use the coupon code podcast, you can save 25%. So excellent. So that is going to do it for this week's episode. I'd like to thank Brian Calverley and Andrew Harris for their contributions, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to watch this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. There will be links posted, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Ciao.
This has been The Beginning is Wisdom with host Peter Cardilla. Please tune in next week and every week for more fun and information. For more, go to beginningiswisdom.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. The opinions herein expressed are those of Mr. Cardilla and do not reflect or suggest an endorsement of these views by show sponsors or any body of Freemasonry.